Just heard Paris Hilton is going to run for president in 2020. Yeah, that's a solid idea.
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.
Yeah, you know, fucking Paris Hilton, fucking Kanye West, fucking Oprah Winfrey. It's like, have we learned nothing? Has the world learned nothing? Let's, bring more celebrities in because we're rich and we have a public platform to stand on and people adore us. And, well, anybody be better than the D-boy, Donald Trumpy. I'm just saying, though. Like, fucking, is that really the answer, to bring another celebrity in to fucking fake it till you make it? Just muddle their way through that job? The fucking thing is, people would vote for Paris Hilton. That's the fucking problem. Fuck, she might win. Imagine, like, the final down to the wire, and it was fucking Kanye versus Paris Hilton. Just drop the bomb, At that point. Just drop the bomb and put us all out of our misery. Fuck. Anyway, yeah, so, tidbits in the news, which I try not to cover. I try to stick local. Anyway, this is episode 22. This is Ego and Vice. My name is Mike. I am your host, as always. What's been going on in my life, you ask? Well, thanks for asking. Not much. I stopped drinking about a week and a half ago. That's been an adventure. Just trying to cut back. Well, I can't say I haven't quit completely, but I'm down to like one beer every couple of days, which is fucking phenomenal for me. If anybody knows me, I do enjoy my drinks. But yeah, it's just I was starting to get some shitty effects of burning the candle at both ends, I suppose, and I got some advice on that I should cut back, so I cut back. And went through some peaks and valleys the first couple of days. I was kind of miserable and irritable and moody and shitty. But, after a little bit of time, I just replaced booze or beer with eating. And eating everything. I probably ate about 4 pounds of candy the first 3 days. And now I just eat whatever I can shove into my face. I'll just eat it, and lots of it. They say that if you quit like drinking beer, you're supposed to lose weight. No, I think I've gained like 15 pounds in the last week and a half. I feel like a big bloated bag of crap. I felt better when I was drinking. But, that's me. My body is an absolute conundrum. Who knows? Yeah, but in the long run, I suppose it's good for me. It'll do my liver a good favor, I suppose, and everything else. I've been sleeping better though. Wow, it's amazing. You know what I mean? If you have a bunch of beers, it puts you to sleep immediately because you get tired. But fuck, you don't sleep very good. That was one of my big concerns, is not having like a beer before bed, or in the evening or something like that. I wouldn't sleep. Fuck, I passed out. I was so tired, and I slept so soundly. It was awesome. And I've been sleeping pretty soundly since then. But because it's been like a week and a half, my body's just kind of adjusting to it. And now it's just, everything's kind of shitty again. What are you going to do? You just kind of adapt to whatever you do, or your body adapts, because the body is an amazing machine, ladies and gentlemen. Take care of it, or kick the shit out of it, because you know what? It's your body. You can do what you want. You know, you only go around once. Have some fun. And that's the mind game too, right? When you try to quit something, whether it be smoking or drinking or any bad thing that you do in excess, eating, gambling, whatever. You say to yourself, your brain convinces you while you're in the middle of it saying, I can quit this. I can do this. I'll be fine. You know, no problem. I have willpower and, you know, I'll just fucking adjust to it. I'll just get through it. But when you're into it a couple of days or a few days, your brain starts going, you know, you start thinking of like, oh, it was like how much fun it was, and you know, who am I, and like, what am I supposed to do? I can't go out to the bars, or like if you quit smoking, it's like I used to stand on the street corner and it was so awesome, and you know, and you forget how shitty it made you feel, but your brain will completely do a 360 flip and remind you about like all the good stuff and that comes with it. But long term, it's fucking really bad for you. So you should, you know, at the very least, do it in moderation, especially if you're getting old, like me, and older. As I always say, I'm north of 35, so, you know, it's never too soon in this twilight of my life to start, you know, taking a little bit better care of myself, I think. I guess so. Anyway, we got Goat has a show coming up on Friday at the House of Targ. It's going to be a fucking wicked pissa, as my good buddy Andy from the Riptide says. Yeah, we're playing with the Riptides. We're playing with Neck, and it's just going to be a fun time. It's going to be a good time. Always have a good time playing with the Riptides. Neck are a rad band, and I don't know. Let's see how she goes. Other than that, no, Goat hasn't been playing too much, just because our drummer Mike is he hurt his back. And, you know, when you hurt your back, you can't really do a heck of a lot, especially being a drummer. And he has no finesse whatsoever. He drums like Animal from the Muppets. He's all over the fucking place. So it probably didn't help in the long run for his overall well-being or overall back health. But he's sort of on the mend. And I don't know. We'll see how that goes in the future. Hopefully he'll recover fully and we can continue on playing shitty music. But, you know, he makes our shitty music at least sound full. I don't know. Now he's a good dude. I hope he's well. Yeah, so today on Ego and Vice, I have a really good friend of mine named Ty Hall, who's in the South Hood studios with me, and he is going to talk about his history in the Ottawa music scene and, well, music altogether. He's been around the block, literally. He has been playing for a long time. He's a wily old veteran, old Ty Hall. Before we start the interview, I'm going to play a song from a local band. And that band is Rishi Von Rex. They're a duo, a rock duo. They call themselves a gypsy rock duo in town. I got a hold of them probably 3 months ago, I guess, and asked them if I could play some of their stuff. And I apologize for the delay, but I had a bunch of other stuff in line to get to. But I'm getting to you. And, well, you know, like I said, I'll always get to you one way or another. Okay, so after this song from Rishi Von Rex, you can find them on Facebook. It's Rishi Von Rex, RIISHI Von Rex. And they have links to other places you can find them and listen to their music there. I'm going to play a song called Animal 2 by them. And after this song, Ty Hall will be in South Hood Studio, and we'll talk about him. So this is Rishi Von Rex. This is a song called Animal 2.
This cave grows lonelier by the day, and these trees, the only company I thought I would need. It's as if they seem to say, girl, you can't keep pushing it all away. So here I stand today. Well, I'm an animal, oh baby, yes it's true. Not fit for a man like you. I try to be a lady, but it just don't seem to come through. matter. I need to storm and thunder, lay the day and be a tone asunder. There's not much that I can see. It's not that I need a man to understand. I just need somebody a little bit more like me, someone who can see. Sometimes I just turn into a beast. You know I turn into a beast. Oh baby, it's all you're gonna get from me. You know I turn into a beast. Baby, it's all you're gonna get from me. Well, this cave, it grows lonelier by the day. And these trees, the only company I thought I would need. Well, I'm an animal, oh baby, yes, it's true. Nothing for a man like you. I try to be a lady, but it never comes through. Well, I'm an animal, and baby, it just won't do. Not for a man civilized like you, unless maybe tell me you're an animal too.
Okay, we're back. This is Ego and Vice, episode 22. I can't believe it's the 22nd episode. What the hell? Where's the time gone? In Southwood Studio tonight, I'm very happy to have a friend of mine that I've known for quite a long time. His name's Ty Hall. How's it going, Ty?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thanks for coming out. So I guess we've known each other for a while, I think.
Yeah.
Goes back to, I don't know, back when you were in the Easy 3, I think.
Yeah, probably way back to 2008 or 9.
Yeah. And I think I was in a band called Our Mistake back in the day with like
Yeah.
Brian Ruxtell and those guys. And I think that's where we first kind of knew each other from. But we're jumping ahead, as I always do. Just trying to initiate the initial conversation. Let's start a little bit further back as far as where you've been. You're from Ottawa,
Yes.
born and raised in Ottawa,
Yes.
and I guess as far as music goes, you've always been a musical kind of guy. Or did you grow up with music, or?
Yeah, I grew up, playing in punk bands in the garage, and just moved on to kind of playing in pubs and then writing my own stuff, and yeah.
Have you always been a guitar player? Or are you like a man who wears many hats, as they say?
Mostly guitar. I've kind of experimented with a few more instruments in the last few years or so. Like I bought a piano a few years ago, and I started picking up the ukulele, but I've got a bass guitar, but yeah, I'm not really proficient on any of those instruments.
Mm-hmm. I took piano lessons my mom made me take piano lessons when I was about 10, I think. And that was my first kind of intro to music, other than just hearing it in the house and whatnot. And I kicked and screamed and absolutely hated it until I think I took it for like 6 months and played like a recital. And my mom finally allowed me to quit because she just couldn't put up with me anymore. But I always look back on that and say, I would give up everything I know on guitar right now, which is not that much, just to have not quit those piano lessons, because I can't even imagine to have taken piano lessons from 10 until like now, because I love the piano.
I do too. It's really it's fun to play. I feel like I should have. There's a certain advantage to picking it up early too. You know, it just lays out into this visually just pick up music theory in a way. Just it's laid out right there for you, right? It's almost, or it's much more difficult to kind of pick up guitar theory on the guitar, or music theory on a guitar, because it's horizontal and vertical, and just the tuning and everything, right? But
I think it would have made me a better guitar player too. Just, I don't know, because my hands are like caveman hands. They're small Japanese hands, but they don't work properly. You know, you see some people play. Anyway, that's me. So when you started like playing bands and stuff like that, do you remember your first band? What was that all about?
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, I don't even remember. I have a hard time picking out years, but I think my first band, I was probably around 13 or 14 years old. We were called K9. We recorded a task on a 4-track Tascam, and tried to get gigs around like at On Deck and stuff, around on the skate shop on Bentley and stuff. So that was kind of the first time we were playing. We played some shows. I don't know if you remember the club Two Steps Above downtown. Like there's some old it was kind of like punk rockish stuff, and then we got into a little bit of a hardcore phase, and and then I guess, like I said, just started playing pubs and writing my own stuff, I guess, when I started picking up going more acoustic, I guess, when I was around 19.
Okay. So before that, you were listening to more, you said punk rock stuff. You're in punk bands and stuff. What did you like? What was your go-to like music when you listened to like something? Like when you turned 19, you started playing pubs and acoustic guitar and stuff like that. Like influences and.
I think I've always been fairly eclectic with everything, really. I used to be into metal. I used to go to the Warp tours and stuff like that, and I was also I've always been into hip hop and reggae as well, and then acoustic music as well, and like folk. So it's still, I'm kind of across the board with all those genres, but I think it's been mostly a bit of a mix that's kind of found its way into my influences.
Okay, that's cool. And the Easy 3, that's where I remember you from mainly. Yeah. How did that come about? What was that?
Well, that was I don't even know, it's so long ago now, but I think I was living out west, and I'd come back, and I'd recorded a demo and actually handed it into Live 88.5 for the Big Money Shot, and Brian Ruckstall called me up, and he said, like, you're in, you better put together a band. And so I called up my buddies from high school, and I think it was Nick Beaton, Trevor Gray, Rob Kent. We all got together, and we just practiced, and then we got in, and we had a good run with the Big Money Shot, and it kind of picked things up from there and got us on the road and in the studio some more.
Well, you had an excellent run, actually, because didn't you make a couple of bucks in that? You must have placed pretty high up in there.
It was 2010. I think we got 50 or 60 grand, I think, that year. So it was that was nice. It definitely was a great kickstart to our career.
For sure. I was talking to Jay Watts was in last week, a mutual friend of ours, and he had mentioned the Big Money Shot, and that was a pretty amazing thing at that time for like local music, where a radio station was actually helping bands that much, and there was a lot of money being thrown around there, which was just for music support. Like you couldn't go out and like buy a Corvette with it. Like you used it to better your career and stuff like that. And there was tons and tons of bands in Ottawa that benefited from that. This guy, not so much, because I was in Our Mistake at the time, and Brian actually worked for 88.5.
Right.
So we were like the one band in Ottawa that wasn't allowed to enter the Big Money Shot.
Yeah.
But hey, what are you gonna do? I supported 88.5, which I still do, for like local music and stuff like that for a long time. But yeah, that's awesome. And so from the Money Shot, then the Easy 3. So I didn't realize that the Easy 3 was put together for that thing.
Yeah.
I thought you guys were a band before, but
no. Well, because I'd been moving around for, just I don't know what I was doing or why I was out in Victoria, but I just was out there for probably like six months or so, just doing some traveling, and I'd been doing some recording, but I didn't really have anything, a whole thing going on really. I was playing in pubs and stuff, and then I was writing my own music and recording it, but I didn't know where to start really with that. So that's kind of, I just threw it in the pot to kind of take a chance on it, and wasn't really expecting to get in, and I got the call, and yeah, so we put that together that week, and we started rehearsing at Nick worked at Raven Street Studio at the time, so we had an awesome recording and practice kind of space at our disposal. So it all just kind of came together very seamlessly. I feel at the time we were all like, you know, kind of getting back together and hanging out again and playing music is a lot of fun. That was a great time.
There's a lot to be said on that too. It's because you said they were like your high school buddies and that. So you know, I think that will bleed into the music. If you guys hate each other, the show will, the music will sound like you hate each other, right? If you get along, then it's going to be great. And it's a lot to be said that a band was put together for something, and you guys did as well as you did with the competition of that competition there, because everybody and their dog entered that thing, right? So good on you, man. And it goes to show like the what you can do, you know, if you know.
Actually, they'd been playing together, so actually,
so you had a great backline.
They had been playing together for a few years, and they kind of just we came together and just rehearsed a few sets of stuff, and it was amazing. Actually, it just came together, like I said, really seamlessly, and yeah, they were already tight as a band, so that's probably why it
that
really
helps,
came
right?
together. Yeah, it did help.
And you did some touring with that band?
Yeah, that was our first tour in 2008. It might have been even before our I don't know. I'm getting the years are kind of blending together now, but
As they do.
That was that was our first tour. We went across Canada, and that was, you know, still probably some of the most fun I've ever had. And we just you know, I hadn't really been out. You know, I'd been maybe out of the country once at that time, and hadn't, you know, seen much of Canada either. So yeah, that was I think all of our first seeing, you know, the West Coast and the Rockies and everything, and touring and playing and doing what we loved. And so it was the whole thing. I think we were kind of riding a high through that. So it was really cool.
Now I might be jumping ahead, but my memory, did you guys like relocate to like Texas? Was that with the Easy 3? Maybe this is a different conversation.
So I don't know. Yeah, we kind of we've had a couple different chapters in that. You know, it's you know, where just, you know, the logistics of people playing in, you know, other bands and maybe not, you know, making all the tours and stuff, you know. So at some point it ended up, you know, getting a little bit more fragmented as we, you know, life kind of happened, and you know, we were doing some touring, and you know, it wasn't always the same guys on all the tours as it was in the home shows and in everything. So it was kind of it was, you know, we'd bring in like someone for a tour, we'd have the same guys coming back in the hometown shows. So we did actually Live at 85 brought us down to South by, and I booked a tour around that, and so we, you know, I got work visas, and we, you know, went on tour in the States, included the South by gig in that, and I think I just I don't know, I was ready for a change at that point, and I kind of asked if someone in the audience, if they needed a roommate, and I got someone's number, and I just went back and stayed for a year or so or more. But so yeah, we did 2 tours through the States. We did, and then I was living down there after the first South by, and so I was already there by the time it came around the next year. So I played it the next year. I think that was 2010 and 11 kind of thing. So yeah. That was around the time I was living down there.
Yeah, because I remember I heard that you were heading out there, and I don't remember the details, but now I guess I know them.
Yeah,
so
it was awesome. I really love Austin, and that was just a great time too. And I felt like I needed to expand a little bit, so I went down there, and like, it's a great music town and stuff. And then toured back up and played Blues Fest that year. So it was just a busy year. I was back and forth. You know, I think we played Blues Fest 2010 and 11, and we're doing like the Hope shows, and like a few other shows around here and in Toronto, the North by, and so it was that during that time I was doing a lot of touring in Texas as well, like between kind of New Orleans and Austin and throughout there.
And this is all with the Easy 3? Or
no, it wasn't always the same guys. Like that's when it was
you with
kind of
other people. Yeah,
it was
okay.
kind of like I had some guys down in Texas that I played with, and then I was playing with I guess for now I've been playing with the same guys for maybe almost 8 years now, like Brian Dupuis and Andrew Burns, and we've played with Jeff Logan was on lead guitar for a while. We've had other people jump in on keys and backup singers, and so it's been a changing kind of landscape, the sound and the members and everything like that, just because maybe I was a little bit scatterbrained a lot of the time and bounced around a lot.
Yeah, that's cool. I guess I was just asking if you were still using the name at that point. So no.
At some point, no, because we're going as like even a trio a lot of the time. So it was instead of like Ty Hall and the Easy 3 was like a 4-piece, and it just kind of worked because they were the Easy 3, and so then it became just we were like, oh, what are we going to do for a name? And like I entered the contest as Ty Hall, and so then it was just like, let's just put it together, Ty Hall and the Easy 3. So that happened like that, and then as the format started changing, there was more and less people in the band. It just didn't work numerically.
It was always Ty Hall and the something. More or less.
I don't know. I
guess revolving doors of awesome musicians.
I've always struggled with that too, right? It's almost just that happened because I recorded that first EP that I put in, and then got led into the to the Money Shot, and then like we had that, and we'd always discussed like, let's put a bunch of band names in the hat and like try these out. And then people are like, well, you want to ride the momentum of what you have with this kind of branding that you've got, and like you're gonna kind of be starting, so there's always like, but it's a little bit of a weird thing, naming your band your name, like it's
a hard, it's like there's like a science to it for sure. But I've read like articles on how hard it's one of the hardest things to do.
Weird, yeah.
I had I did some solo stuff in between bands, and I just used the handle of Ohio Jones. That was always like the state, like the Ziggy Stardust or whatever.
Yeah.
And I went into Brian's old studio in Orleans, Studio 169, and I recorded this like 9-song punk EP record, whatever you want to call it, just by myself, and I just played everything, and I released it as Ohio Jones and the Nobodies.
Yeah.
No, because there was nobody there, right? But it's kind of the same idea though with the Big Money Shot. I actually just submitted it to the Big Money Shot, and it was just this solo thing. It sounded like a full band, and I got in, and Brian said the same thing to me. Well, you're in. You got to find a band now. So I got these 2 guys. One of them is still the bass player in my band, Goat, and this is probably 8 years ago, but we threw this show together, like this 8-song show together in 3 weeks. Just
they were okay being called the Nobodies.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, they played. They came with me, so anyway.
That's cool.
Okay. Cool. Is there any recorded stuff of Ty Hall and the Easy 3 that we can find online?
Somewhere out there, I'm sure. Yeah, it's actually I'm not sure that it's out there in the ether.
Or is there some way you can send me one?
I'm sure there's stuff up there somewhere. Like it's I'm not sure where it is. I kind of just put some of my later stuff up on Spotify and stuff, so it's up there. And I'm not sure what at the time we had a distribution deal with Fontana North, and so they were more or less kind of controlling that. So I believe it's still actually up on even iTunes somewhere and stuff, but I don't see any of that or collect any of it. I just think it's out there, but it's once it's out there, it's very hard to get it not out there. Not that I've tried, but
internet is like, written in ink, my friend.
Pretty much.
All right, there. So let's try this. We're going to break, and we're going to say this is a song from Ty Hall and the Easy 3. When we come back, we'll name the song if we can find some. If we can, I'll edit this whole chunk out. Yeah.
All right.
The leaves on the trees are looking like a kaleidoscope. Is that a snake at the end of my lane, or is that a rope? I take the long way this time. I got a lot on my mind. Please see my side of the story. This evening the moon looks like it's grieving for me. I take the long way this time. I got a load on my mind. With the sun coming through my window, I can't open my eyes. Coffee don't go down right without whiskey or rye. I take the long way this time. I got a lot on my mind. Please see my side of the story. This evening the moon looks like it's grieving for me. I take the long way this time. I got a load on my mind. Please see my side of the story. This evening the moon looks like it's grieving for me. I take the long way this time. I got a load on my mind. I take the long way this time. I got a load on my mind. I take the long way this time. I got a load on my mind.
So we got it. We got the song.
Yeah.
That was Ty Hall and the Easy Three. That song was called "A Lot on My Mind." Okay, so you were in Texas for a while. Had a great time there. You eventually came back home.
Yeah.
And did you continue? Obviously, you continued playing music. What was your next step from there?
Actually, like, I don't know. I kind of, what did I do? That year, around 2011, so we'd been on tour at that time. So I put together a band and we toured again around, we did Canada again. I did the States by myself on a Greyhound bus once. That was really interesting.
How was that?
Really weird. It's the Greyhound is a weird experience in itself, but a lot of those stations at 3:00 in the morning, it's strange. It's strange being in an unfamiliar city, kind of by yourself, without a car, without
And
contacts.
You went totally by yourself.
Yeah.
That was it. You and your guitar case.
Yeah. So yeah, it was some interesting times. That was kind of, I've always been in a van with a GPS and, some people with me, and, being by myself on a bus, you're kind of stuck at the mercy of, kind of trying to hail cabs, trying to walk places. I was also trying to do some radio interview promos. I remember finding myself in the ghetto in the south side of Chicago.
Oh no.
Trying to find a place, and the people are coming up to me like, "Are you all right? You need directions anywhere?" But it was it was cool though. I ended up making a lot of friends in a lot of different cities and have some contacts. It was a lot of fun. It was a great learning experience.
Did you make all the dates? None missed? You got them all?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think I left myself some space on the big runs, but I also had it all. I knew what, where the buses, when they're leaving, when they're arriving, when I had to be there, how much time I had. So it took a lot of planning, but it was it was done. It was only $400 for the whole month, right? For the Greyhound pass. So that's what kind of I heard that. I was like,
oh yeah,
cool.
you could just transfer from bus to bus?
Yeah, $400 unlimited
Wow.
travel in North America.
The Greyhound bus is the longest highway in town, though. That is something else. The Greyhound bus. I'm from Thunder Bay, Ontario. I've taken the Greyhound bus twice home, and it took like 26 hours or something like that.
That's that's a long drive even.
It's like I can sit here and I can reflect on my life, and like half an hour later, you're like, okay, I'm done with that. Now what do I do? Right?
Yeah.
I just put my head against the window and let the vibrations put me to sleep.
Yeah, well, that was part of the reason why I decided to start touring in the States, just because of some of those drives are relentless, right? Like when you're going between some of those cities, you see signs like "gas up now, or else you're gonna run out." Like it's somewhere around there, right? Like is it before North Bay or after Thunder Bay, probably, right? Between Kenora and between Kenora and
Winnipeg or
Winnipeg,
Manitoba.
yeah.
It's a long stretch. Yeah, that's when it starts to flatten out a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never toured in the States. Like I've played in Canada, but do you see a big difference between Canada and the States as far as just the travel or the people, or is it all people are people and it's the way it is?
Yeah, people are people, and it's always a lot of fun, like meeting people, just coming in as an outsider. Like it's easier to kind of maybe come out of your shell. It's an icebreaker, at least, right? Like not being around somewhere and you're asking questions and getting to know people just out of almost necessity.
You
right?
got to talk to somebody.
Yeah, but
so other than Austin, which you've already said that you loved, were there other cities like in the States that you can remember that you really enjoyed playing in?
Yeah, it was really cool just seeing some of these cities that I'd only seen in movies and stuff. New York City was a trip, playing there the first time, and I really like Memphis, is very unique, and I really like New Orleans. That's probably also one of my favorite cities to just visit for a weekend and take in as well. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, I'd love to go there. Are you a food guy? Do you like food?
Yeah.
Did you eat a lot there, especially in Austin? I'd love to go to Austin and just eat.
Eating is really cool. Like Louisiana, especially, they're selling like crawfish in little huts outside the on the side of the road and stuff, and they give it to you in a pretty much a grocery bag full of crawfish, and that stuff like that. Like just getting the local kind of food is really cool. I don't get into like a lot of gourmet stuff, but I like to kind of like eat what the locals eat and stuff.
Absolutely,
they got wicked Mexican food in Texas. Obviously, I love the tacos and everything. But
well, speaking of South by Southwest, I was talking to Eric Worley. He went down to that South by Southwest with 88.5, and he would send me texts because he'd be eating, and he would just tell me what he was eating all the time.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm in Texas and I'm eating. And it's just, you bastard.
It's good barbecue down there. Texas Chili Parlor.
Yeah, me and Eric talk about food a lot. Anyway. All right. So once the touring was done, you're always playing. How did you, I guess you're in school. You've been in school for a while now.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think the last time I toured Canada was probably 2011-12, and that's when I turned 30, and it was that was a longer, tougher tour. I don't know why I booked a tour in the winter in Canada. I thought I was going to kind of pull it off, that we were going to have get away with touring in November, but that's when we had some of the tougher times. You know, we actually hit a bunch of snowstorms, and we were driving in the Rockies through snowstorms, getting buried by snow plows. It was terrifying, really.
Yeah, that's scary. It's like the Trans-Canada Highway in the winter, especially between like Ottawa and what did we talk about when it hit Kenora? Because it's like a 2-lane highway.
Well, yeah, because I think we were early enough where we weren't getting too much snow here, but it was scarier around Jasper. I think was the really kind of scary, because they're obviously getting snow in November up there by then, and I was just kind of crossing my fingers, hoping for the best, and that's just the time that it worked out that we were able to all kind of get on the road. But it was really scary, a lot of those drives, and we missed a couple shows there, unfortunately, and it was just tough, and it's always kind of just tough as it is. You're kind of roughing it with food, you're roughing it with accommodations and things, and it was getting, I guess, tougher on my nerves as I was just about to turn 30, and so I kind of was ready for a little bit of a change by then, and really just it was I kind of do things like that. Just like the first time I put in my CD for the Big Money Shot, I kind of just threw in an application at Carleton. I was like, let's kind of explore my options here and see what's going on. And I knew I was ready for something new, but I kind of had a few different ideas in my mind, and decided to kind of see which ones would materialize. And I got accepted to Carleton, so I went through, did the undergrad. I probably ended up being one of the better decisions I've made in my life. It really kind of structured my life again, kind of, instead of it was the whole touring and music thing. It had decentered me a little bit for a while. So getting a little bit more structure back in my life was welcome, and I went through that, and it was great. And yeah, now I'm continuing on and doing a master's degree.
And what are you getting your master's in?
It's music and culture. So it's I'm an aspiring ethnomusicologist. It's essentially, I guess, could be quickly explained as anthropology of music, really.
Wow.
So yeah, the program's called Music and Culture at Carleton.
Awesome, man. That's great. Well, you have to try things, right? Like you said, you just threw applications here and there. If you don't try, then what the fuck? You're just gonna, your life's just gonna go on this crazy straight path. But
yeah,
who knows? Like, fuck, you try something out and look where you are.
Yeah. It's I guess I feel like I've always kind of done that, is to kind of take a shot, or like I don't know where I'm gonna go, and I'll kind of get a few ideas, and whatever one works, then I just dive into that head first, and then follow it until.
Yeah. Well, hey man, good or bad, it's gonna work itself out, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's really working. I'm loving it. Now it's through. I'm actually now my touring's turning into presenting papers at conferences. So I'm going to Regina in May for the IASPM, International Association for the Study of Popular Music. It's a conference they're holding in Regina this year, and I'm going down to present one of my papers there. So that's going to be something new for me. I'll be, I guess it's kind of like touring, but for a different reason.
Yeah, man. Well, it all comes together. It's all part, like, you couldn't have done what you've done without doing what you do, I suppose, right? And it's all like one big package of, experience and knowledge.
Yeah, and
and then schooling and the education, and
it did complement I think my music making. It's doing the undergrad and the performance studies really helped with my theory and ear training, and had some vocal training and instrument training. And I was working with Ian Tamblyn, who's a great singer-songwriter in that program, and so he actually had a hand in producing part of this latest record that I released last year. So it's
which is excellent, and which you brought me. You brought me a vinyl. You brought me some vinyl, which I'm adding to my small vinyl collection. But it's a work in progress, so I'm pretty happy. You play a lot of well, you said you don't play as much as you used to, but you play a lot of pubs and stuff like that. I guess that's just for the fun of doing it, but I guess that's also some income as well. Yeah.
Well, it's just because of school, I try to keep most of the touring. Well, I guess I really only tour in like a 4-hour radius now, even in the summer. But so over the summer I put this record out, and then I booked a bunch of dates actually. So I was on the road quite a bit, like between Montreal, North Bay, and Kingston. Just either whether it was with the band or whether it was a just solo kind of singer-songwriter pubs and cafes, whatever. So it was quite a bit, and it bled into the fall when I was starting back at school, and that got pretty hectic trying to keep up both of those schedules. I wasn't really prepared for how challenging the master's program was going to be, but I probably underestimated it. But I got through that first semester, and I also did a bunch of dates then, and I cut back a little bit more over the winter. One, because of school. Two, because the drives get a little bit hectic. Because I don't just play in Ottawa. I try to just spread it out a little bit, at least from between Montreal and Pembroke kind of thing. But I even started at the beginning of the winter. I already got caught twice, kind of white knuckling it back on an hour drive that ended up taking 2 hours and being pretty scary as well. So I'm just also tired of being scared of the winter drive.
Of putting her in the ditch.
Yeah,
That's fair. Well, I know that you love to play because we've in the later and maybe in the last 5 years and stuff. I see on your social media that you're always promoting here and there and that. And I think about maybe 4 years ago or 3 years ago or something. I think this is the first time I talked to you in a little while. Hearts and Minds, my old band. I'm not in that band anymore. Mm-hmm. We had a gig at the Rainbow, I think, and I knew that you were busy, and I called you up. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? And you're like, not much. Conversation stuff anyway, and you're like, do you want to open this gig for us? And you're like, sure. And then it was a couple months later, whatever, me and my friend Steph, we had I have an acoustic band called the Copper Altar, and I said, I'm gonna call Ty. I called Ty, and he's not gonna say yes again. And I said, hey Ty, you want to open this thing? And you're like, sure. What the fuck? But you're always good to go, and you love to play and stuff like that. So it's great, man.
Yeah, no, it's nice to even I kind of keep my schedule a little bit open for those kinds of things as well, right? So it's I've also splitting it between school and playing. I'm still trying to find a perfect balance between that. But yeah, I'm always down for coming out and playing some of those gigs, especially I'm getting more used to playing solo, and it's easier for me to make it out to those things. Sometimes it's harder to get all the guys together in the same spot and for rehearsals and for playing these days, but we still do, and we still rock out some shows together too.
It's awesome, man. And the new record is called Nothing But Time.
Yes. Tell
us about that. How did that come about? How did the creation of that start until it?
So I guess it was throughout my undergrad. Like I said, I was working with Ian Tamblyn. He was the artist in residence at Carleton, and I was doing the singer-songwriter program there. So that was actually my focus, was singer-songwriter rather than on a instrument. And that's kind of a unique program in, I think, North America. There's not too many of them, but so they brought in Ian Tamblyn as an instructor for the singer-songwriter students. I worked with him writing some songs. He would help kind of develop those with me and help critique me and on my craft, on the lyrics, on the arrangements, things like that. So we worked, and he also, a lot of that was developing a work ethic too, right? So I don't have a high success rate on writing songs, but it's just once I got into writing a lot of them, or becoming sitting down and treating it like a job, or I'm just sitting down and writing a lot, I discovered that I was able to find more stuff and just exercise that part of my brain where I'd be able to just get into the flow a little bit easier and faster, rather than waiting for inspiration kind of thing. That's something that he always tried to drive home with the people that he was teaching. You treat it, you're always kind of thinking about writing, you're always kind of interpreting your life in a way that can kind of be translated into a song, and then from there just lay it down.
And were all the songs, when you decided to make this record, were all the songs written for the record, or did you have some stuff that was kicking around that you guys kicked into shape, or some ideas, or was they all just organically come from?
No, it came almost from anywhere. It's a little bit all over the board with it doesn't all sound the same. It's almost three kind of sounds in it. I've never really been able to nail down a sound that can be described easily, but it's there's a little bit of there's a couple older songs that I redid in more of a kind of an acoustic fashion. That's maybe I'm more kind of comfortable with these days, and just since I've been playing those songs more in an acoustic setting, I was like, I really kind of like the way these are coming out acoustically. So I laid down a couple older ones. I had some new ones. Some of them just like, it's always nice when a song just comes out in 10 or 15 minutes. Like that's Put 'Em Up was the first song on it, and that's
a great song. I love that song.
Thanks. It's I think it's actually, someone told me the other day that it's made it into a semi-finalist for the International Songwriting Competition.
Oh, congrats.
Thanks. Yeah.
Well deserved, though. It's
cool.
a fucking great song.
But yeah, that was one that came out really quick and really easy, and so that's I enjoyed writing it, and I felt pretty good about it right away, and so it's and then some of the other ones were more work. Some of them almost I had a bunch of songs more that I do put together some kind of more electronic kind of stuff. That ended up being like the last song on the record, just because it hardly fit the record, but it was really cool. We used some more like sampling kind of stuff on there, and it was and then there's some rockier tunes on there as well.
Cool. And you recorded it with Eric Eggleston.
Yes. Yeah, we've got a good working relationship from over the years. He's a great guy to work with.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Always nice when I see him. He's always nice to me, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, and he's got a very creative. He gets in the zone, and he's got really great ideas to kind of, that always makes sense. And we just that's what it's kind of like. You go in there and you just get in the creative zone kind of thing. It's always been fun.
I ran into Eric about 2 years ago at the Elbow Room reunion, and we talked for a good 15-20 minutes, and he told me about his studio, and I promised him I'd come in and check it out. And Eric, if you happen to hear this for some strange reason, I apologize. I've been busy. That's my excuse, but I definitely will swing by and say hello. I'll bring you a coffee or something. The last thing on songwriting is I want to ask is when you write a song after all that you've been through, the writing experience on this one, if you had to sit down and write a song right now, what is the process for you? Like, just in a nutshell.
I start with a melody, and then if I can get one concept of a line that I like, and I don't always know what it means, but then it's kind of, it turns into that, now what does that mean? And then the next line comes out, and then what is that? And so sometimes I get to the end of it, and then it makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it does, but it's kind of like that, just associative process. So at that first line I get, if it's like, or I might even start with, just a line that I think is, clever or insightful or something, and I just build off of that somehow. But I usually start with the chords and the melody kind of thing. But
do you do them together, or do you actually write out your lyrics first and then put them to music, or vice versa?
I usually just start messing around on a guitar, and then hopefully something comes, or sometime I might have just one line and then pick up the guitar. But yeah, the melody or the chord progression usually draws the rest of the words out, and then sometimes I'll have a little home studio, so sometimes I'll just lay down a quick arrangement and then just listen to it over and over again while I'm kind of trying to put the words together. And then I might have 2 pages of words, and then I kind of read through that and try to put together a meaning and how it's going to come together coherently, and then start editing out the lines or adding lines, and then I don't know, I think I usually end up coming up with the chorus or the hook somewhere in there.
The reason I ask is because I want to ask people who are educated in music and who have as much experience as you, who is a proven like amazing songwriter. I've always written songs the same way. I'll sit down with that acoustic guitar, which I've had for about 15 years, and I'll just start strumming chords, and I'll do like the la la la's over top, la 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 la, trying to find a melody. And I've never changed my pattern or anything from writing a song. It always just comes out that way. But I find that I go through like months of just writer's block where everything just sounds like crap, everything sounds the same, and I always try to break out of my pattern of writing songs. But I've never written lyrics first, I've never written guitar first. I always do it at the exact same time. Do you think that's like beneficial, or is there other ways, better ways to do it that I can some good practices?
Well, there's something to be said for ritual that, you know, if it gets you in the zone, but I think maybe writer's block is, you know, you can either try and plow through it or you can kind of try and interrupt it. Like, I can't write a song on a piano. I've tried, but I don't have the chops really. One thing I have found useful is, you know, I work with Ableton, so, you know, I can, you know, lay down a bass line on the MIDI, you know, and sometimes it's just not, it doesn't always even turn into a song, but just writing an instrumental is, you know, therapeutic and, you know, fun in itself kind of thing. And if the lyrics don't come, they don't come, but I still spent that time being creative, I guess. And then I can always, you know, come back to hopefully having a recording that maybe the lyrics will come to me later, or maybe I've got a lot, maybe, you know, hundreds, if not over 1,000 half
songs,
unused songs, or, you know, just, yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot of stuff just on my hard drive that's there, and like I'll come back to it and might become, you know.
I've said this before. If you could be successful at half songs, I'd be living in Beverly Hills right now.
It's definitely the toughest part is finishing a song. You know, it's or even yeah, I don't know. It's but you know, there's something to be said, I think, for plowing through it and stuff too, because, you know, a lot of the songs I have come back to half written songs. I'm like, oh, that was, you know, and there was nothing really stopping me except for me thinking that the second half wasn't as good as the first half kind of thing. But like, yeah, that comes too, right? Like after you've played it a few more times or listened to it a few more times, then that word that you didn't like, you know, you're not going to go to the, unless you're going to the studio next week, like, but like, and then laying it down and like encrypting it on, you know, like once it's on disc or record, then it's committed.
It's there, you know, forever. Yeah.
But you know, it's always, I guess, I try to finish songs, or I've tried to, you know, and that's, you know, another thing kind of like that, what I was talking about, like Ian Tamblyn, like getting in on like the work ethic, like finish the song. And it was, a lot of the time it was almost homework. So I brought him a lot of shit songs too that I was just like, you know, I did. And then maybe, you know, getting someone to kind of give you some feedback does help too, right? Like it's and even if it's not a musician, sometimes it's just as good or better to have someone just be like, yeah, that works, or like, you know, or like, yeah, you know, everybody speaking's improvisation in itself, right? So some people, like a lot of people, can kind of even just suggest a word or a break or a bridge kind of thing. So
yeah, no, that's super good advice. I'm very private when I write my stuff because I'm self-conscious about it, you know, and so I'll wait until it's kind of done or whatever. But anyway, that's all good advice. Thank you. And I'll listen back to that and I will take something from it for sure. My last thing on songwriting is, when it comes to lyrics, the older you get, do you ever find that you're kind of running out of things to say? Like, do you ever like listen back to lyrics and be like, that is just the most contrived, ridiculous, cliched thing I've ever heard in my life?
Yeah.
Like when you were younger and you used to write lyrics, it was like you'd write something down, you'd be like, yeah, that's fucking good. But now it's just like, for me, it's just like, pff.
Well, I have gotten caught, you know, even just writing the same song twice, right? Like even the same chord progression a few times, you know. But it's you know, I've been trying to even find a way to get into like even writing something that might be more of like a socially conscious or protest song, or so writing, you know, I find that to be one of the most challenging things to do, and to put forth with my voice, and to be a little bit explicit yet artistic at the same time. I can kind of allude to some of these things, but I tend to be a little bit more abstract and cryptic in some of my writing and concepts of what I'm going for. But yeah, it's but yeah, if I'm always writing, and I'm writing when I'm depressed, or writing when I'm happy, and it's just writing about the situation I'm in. If I've been in that situation before, I probably will end up coming up with some of the same things. So I kind of tried to challenge myself in writing just something different and saying something different. It doesn't always work, but it is it's different. And even just, I guess, when I was younger, things are new and things are more exciting, or it's there's a lot to take in all at once and stuff, so it ends up being maybe a little bit more material to write about. But then it's, these days I try to really kind of think about it and what I'm trying to say, or whether it's different. But I'm trying to also take new perspectives on, I guess, where I'm coming from.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't write topical things. I won't write about politics. I won't write about things in the world. I always try to be kind of introspective, or I'll write like an observation of what I see and stuff like that. But it just feels, and I don't care if people listen to it and say, "Oh, that's fucking someone else sang about that," or whatever. It's more of me, because I get sick of like listening to writing my own lyrics. I'll read back my own lyrics, and I hate them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just something you gotta, like you said, you gotta kind of work through it. And
you know
find
what
it.
though, like, it's not always. I don't think you always have to say something new, right? It's the music gives the lyrics meaning as well. And I'm a big fan of hip hop, and things, and folk, but all those, they have a reservoir of kind of lyrics that are kind of stock lyrics sometimes, but it means something different when it's put in a different context behind a different musical tapestry. I like a lot of the repetitive kind of even the trap music that's coming out. Like, it's interesting. It has something to say in between the lines, I feel, a lot of the time. Like, rap's the new rock as far as I'm concerned. It's riding that wave of things, and there's a lot of criticism. Some of it I think is short-sighted, some of it's on the mark. As far as some of the problematic things like misogyny in hip-hop and stuff. I have a hard time listening to it, and with a with a straight conscience sometimes. But it's its own thing, and I think it's doing really interesting things in music. I think the biggest, or the most successful songwriter in the U.S. was Future's songwriter. He worked with 21 Savage and Drake and things like that. But it's really interesting what Metro Boomin's doing with that stuff. If you listen to it, it's almost, without the drums, it almost sounds like a horror soundtrack, right? Mm-hmm. And then once you put the drums in, then it gives it a little bit more energy. And then once you put the lyrics over top of it, even if it's just kind of repetitive or something, it's got that dark kind of, feel to it that's kind of putting a message above and beyond the lyrics that are coming through. And that's what, I think some of that stuff's really, really cool to listen to.
Awesome. All right, let's listen to something off the new record, off Nothing But Time. Mm-hmm. You can choose.
How about, well, let's, I don't know. Well, listen to something acoustic, maybe. Perfect Harmony is one that I redid, and I kind of thought that it was something that I would, lay down with just myself and a guitar on this one. It's I don't think there's too many of those on this one, but that's one of them. And
Perfect Harmony.
Yeah,
want to do that? Sure. All right. So from Nothing But Time, this is Ty Hall. This is a song called Perfect Harmony.
I'll write you a love song and leave out the parts where things went wrong. I'll omit the bitter and leave in the sweet so it won't be too long. I'll buy you a Lexus, we can drive that shit from Canada to Texas. Troubles won't find us, 'cause they'll be 1,000,000 miles behind us. I'll take you to Paris, France, if you give me another chance. But it won't be enough to make up for the other stuff. And we would be in perfect harmony if I could be a little less like me and you didn't do the things you do. We'd go together perfectly, we'd go together perfectly. Let me tell you a story, and all you had to say was sorry. But always chose instead to make things up in bed. Well, that's alright with me, but doesn't seem healthy. And it won't be enough to make up for the other stuff. It's always up and down and back and forth, and in the mood then out of sorts. Don't you recall the night before? Why are you back at my door? And we would be in perfect harmony if I could be a little less like me and you didn't do the things you do. We'd go together perfectly, we'd go together perfectly. You say I make you crazy, but it seems unfair to blame me. I may not be all there either. Sometimes I just have to see her. Is it wrong I get turned on a little bit when you get mad? Is it wrong that we go on and tell ourselves it's not so bad? Perfectly, we go together perfectly.
So that was Ty Hall, and that was a song off Nothing But Time. It was called Perfect Harmony. I have a rapid question period here on Ego and Vice that I ask of all people that come into the Southwood studio. Would you like to take part in the rapid questions?
Yes, let's do it.
All right.
Questions and answers, honesty lies. Yes, no, you can't, but you can if you know why.
Shit, you must be fuckered, man. Like, what's he talking about?
Any questions?
All right, this is Rapid Questions with Ty Hall. Question number 1. Your biggest musical influence?
It's going to take me a while to answer these. It's not going to be as rapid as we'd think. Let me say Bob Marley.
Very good. I find that the rapid questions, I sit and kind of ask you questions like the whole podcast, and
Yeah.
it's the rapid questions that people like, oh my God.
That's the hard. It's very hard to come up with a rapid one.
Yeah, these are
answer.
these are like the deep answers. Anyway, next question is the first record you ever bought with your own money. Tape, record, CD.
Run DMC, Down with the King.
Nice. Well done, sir. The last song you listened to.
A Boogie, Say A.
A Boogie Say A. Very good. Next question. Music that we'd all be surprised that you listen to.
I don't know. I think a lot of it might be surprising. Classical?
That's nice. That's pleasant.
Yeah.
That's a nice sunny Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Quick one. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Oh, God damn it. What's your favorite song? That's the hardest one.
It is hard. It's on a sliding scale because I get sick of songs too. But I've had favorite songs and then they fall out of favor eventually. But let me say "Don't Think Twice," Bob Dylan.
Very good. My favorite song is "Dancing with Myself" by Billy Idol.
Good one.
I've told everyone I've known. I'll tell you now too. At my funeral, if everyone else forgets, I want that song to play at my funeral.
Okay.
Very good. And I want to be buried in a pine box. A pine box.
Okay.
Nothing fancy. Okay. What is your favorite band?
That's very difficult. G Love and the Special Sauce.
G Love and the Special Sauce. Very good. What was the first concert or show you ever saw that you remember? Live music, I guess.
Green Day.
Green Day.
Forget what year that was. Very early. 98? Insomniac tour.
Oh, nice. I saw Green Day once. There's the ticket stub right there.
Yeah.
It was in 1993 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. They opened for Bad Religion.
Oh,
They were just a
nice.
bunch of punk ass kids. Anyway, and so was I. What was the last show or concert that you saw?
I went to the Waterfall Singer, a Korean Pansori concert at Carlton with some of the foremost musicians of Korea. That was interesting. The guy sounded a little bit like Jonathan Davis from Korn.
Oh,
He'd sang for 12 hours a day in front of and he broke his voice. That's what the Pansori singers, they break their voice on purpose to kind of get that growl kind of thing coming out. Pretty crazy stuff.
that can't be healthy. That can't be good for you.
What that's it was developed like that, but that so he doesn't have to, it's been, I guess, broken and healed like that. So it's but yeah, he took some videos. I listened to him. I'm like, man, it sounds like Korn, you know, that first Life is Peachy intro.
Yeah. Boom. Okay. Anyway. Your death row meal.
Pad Thai.
Pad Thai. Your death row record. Last record you could listen to before they pull the switch.
The names to all the records I have in my collection. So what's that Bright Eyes one? Bright Eyes. Might make me sad though. Maybe I want something to pump me up more, like
Get you ready. Get you psyched.
Slayer.
Slayer. All right. That's cool. Okay. That's the end of the Rapids. We're going to do 2 quick questions. Just tell stories as you want to tell them. Can you tell us like a funny story on the road?
Yeah, there's a few of them. We got lots. Like, I guess the some of them are only funny after the fact, really.
They weren't funny at the time.
Yeah, like I was saying, driving on the Rockies, like we almost fell off a cliff. Like they don't have guardrails on those highways, you know, that it's insane. So, you know, I think that's what I was saying. Like one of the times where we missed one of our gigs where we just had to, you know, pull over, and we ended up finding a hotel room or a hotel. It wasn't really a hotel. It was more of like a cabin that we could rent. And there was also it was basically a truck stop. And someone in BC had probably given me some shrooms. So we did that. Instead of playing our gig.
So going over the cliff wouldn't have been that bad.
Well, it was, yeah. Well, we didn't go over a cliff. We didn't play the show, but we made the best of it.
All right. Tell us your worst experience on the road. Or did you just...
Maybe. I don't know. There's some of those Greyhound stations, like I'm saying, were pretty tough in the middle of the night without any sleep. But, it's I don't know. I try, like I said, I try to make the best of it. And just work through those tough times. I think part of it's you gotta adapt a little bit. We've been through some definitely weird sleeping arrangements and hotels, interesting characters, and but it's I think you have to be able to adapt to those kinds of things so that you don't get completely
swallowed by the craziness of the road. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so that was the end of the rapid question period. You did great.
All right, thanks. Well, it wasn't very rapid on my part. I had to think about a few of those.
Yeah, they're probably the way the questions are structured. Like I say, I'm not a professional journalist over here. I'm doing my best.
They're great questions. They just are hard to answer rapidly. I don't have those. I have to really think about those sometimes.
Yeah. Did you want to plug any of your music, or do you have any social media stuff or places people can hear you? Or
yeah, I'm all over. I'm mostly on Instagram these days. I think it's TyHall5446. My website's ty-hall.com. My music's on all the download and streaming platforms. And on YouTube as well. So it's I'm trying to keep up with that while I'm in school and playing a few gigs on the weekends. I'm at I think Summer Haze this Saturday and O'Grady's Pub coming up in the next couple weeks. So
cool. Yeah. Well, I really want to thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Because it's been a blast, and you truly are. To me, you've always been an awesome dude.
Thank you.
Your music is amazing. You're an amazing songwriter. You're working hard. You're an inspiration. Just for the sheer resume of what you've done and what you keep doing. One last question is, what does the future hold for you? Where are you going?
Well, next year I'm finishing up my thesis to finish up the master's program. Going to be traveling around, presenting at some conferences. I'll be hopefully hitting the road again over the summer on the summer break and going back on that, little 4-hour radius of a touring plan that I have going. So I'll be setting up some more shows and probably hopefully doing some more recording over the summer as well. That's when I get most of my work done is over the summer months.
Awesome. Ty, it's been a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And let's play a show soon.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Do it.
All right. I'll see you down the road.
For sure.
Smoke is ever so thick.
you want to get a hold of me, you can email me at egoandvice@gmail.com if you want to be on the show, if you want me to play some music, or if you actually just want to come in and sit down and we can talk. What the hell? If you want to listen to the podcast, you can go to egoandvice.com. They're out there for free. You can visit iTunes, Facebook, or Podomatic. Just search out Ego and Vice. As always, this is a labor of love. I don't make any money. I just like sitting down and talking to my friends. All right, this has been Ego and Vice, episode 22. We'll see you next week.
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.